This week, Kamala has been comparing her political opponents to the most evil mass murderers in history. And now, speaking on a call for her campaign last night, Joe Biden finally said what he and Kamala really think of our supporters. He called them garbage. And they mean it, even though, without question, my supporters are far higher quality than Crooked Joe or Lying Kamala. My response to Joe and Kamala is very simple. You can't lead America if you don't love Americans. You just can't. And you can't be president if you hate the American people. And there's a lot of hatred there. Kamala Harris is not fit to be president of the United States. She doesn't have the intellect, the stamina, or that special quality that real leaders must have to lead. We know what that is. It's a special quality. Joe Biden's comments were the direct result of Kamala's and Tim Walz, you know? You know who that is? His decision to portray everyone who isn't voting for them as evil or subhuman. You're not subhuman. I'm looking at you. You are not subhuman. And we know it's what they believe because look how they've treated you. They've treated you like garbage, frankly. They've treated you like garbage. You know what? The truth is they've treated our whole country like garbage, whether they meant to or not, because they're grossly incompetent people, and they've destroyed our country. Our country is suffering right now like it's never suffered with inflation. And with the infliction, think of it, they've allowed millions and millions of people to come into our country that are criminals, that are the highest level criminals. 13,099 Border Patrol, which endorsed me, by the way, very strongly. And it wasn't like I had any competition. 13,099 murderers, many of them murdered more than one person. 13,000, these are the numbers from Border Patrol during their term. 13,099 murderers were let into our country. You have drug lords, you have terrorists, you have people from mental institutions. They're all let into our country. And I actually feel it's number 2 or number 3 on the list of things. Number 1 is the economy. Number 2 is inflation. Number 3 is what they've done to our border, what they've done to our country. They call it immigration. It's not immigration. It's horrible. It's horrible. And I think that it's, frankly, should be number 1 on the list. I think inflation's terrible. What they've done with inflation is gross incompetence. But when they allow 21 million people, and it's probably much more, that doesn't even include the gotaways, you know, gotaways. These are people that just run across the border. What they've done to our country there's never going to be an excuse for what they've done to this country. For the past 9 years, Kamala and her party have called us racist, bigots, fascists, deplorables, irredeemables, Nazis, and they've called me Hitler. Call me Hitler. You know, many years ago, I had a father who was a great guy. He was a strong guy, a legitimate guy, strong. But, you know, he always used to tell me, never use the word Nazi and never use the word Hitler. Now we're called Nazis, and I'm called Hitler. I'm not Hitler. Boy, my father, he's looking down. Well, my mother, I know she's looking down. My father is a little questionable because he was a little rough. I think he's looking down because he was a good guy. He was a strong guy, but he was a good guy. But he's looking down. He said, can you imagine? That's what they're calling my son. I told them for years, literally, never use the term Nazi or Hitler. Now they're using it on us. It's unbelievable. They've bullied you. They've demeaned us. They've demonized us and censored us and deplatformed us and weaponized the power of our own government against us. They've gone after their political opponent, me. It's unbelievable. Did you see? Donald Trump wants to put us in jail. Donald Trump is going to go after some of the scum that you see back there, that's so dishonest. Donald Trump is doing horrible things. He wants to put us in prison. That's what they've been trying to do to me for 3 years. They got the story mixed up. And we won the big case in Florida already. We're doing very well. We're doing very well. Remember? Oh, we got him in Florida. That was the documents case, and I had the Presidential Records Act and lots of other things. But Joe Biden had the same case except times 10, because he took it out when he wasn't president. He did a lot of things. And they found him guilty, but they let him go because he was mentally incompetent. But they said he could be president. So they said, he can't stand trial. He's mentally incompetent. He's got no memory. And he's just got it. He just doesn't have what it takes, okay? But think of this. Here's the ruling. He can't stand trial because he's mentally incompetent, but he can be the president of the United States. Figure that one out. Mr. Congressman, figure that one out, Hudson. Can you imagine? They have taken your money. They've thrown open your borders to criminals and terrorists. They've flooded your towns with deadly drugs and death. They've given you jobs to illegal migrants and sent our blood and treasure to fight really stupid foreign wars, countries that you've never heard of, countries that you and your children have never even heard of. This Tuesday is your chance to stand up and declare that you are not going to take it anymore. You're not going to take it. 6 days from now, we can turn the page forever on this failed and corrupt administration. They are corrupt. They're failed and they're corrupt. They're the worst administration. Joe Biden is the worst president in the history of our country. And his partner, now she's trying to convince everyone, oh, well, I really had nothing to do with anything, you know. I'm sure he loves hearing that. She is the worst vice president in the history of our country. By the way, if you go back a few months, everybody was saying she's the worst vice president. She's incompetent. She's a dope. She's everything you can imagine. All of a sudden, they decided they better get politically correct, okay? And they chose her over 12 people that are far more competent.